Maritime Made is sponsored by Invest Nova Scotia because great things are happening. Invest Nova Scotia connects your business with the right resources and opportunities. InvestNovaScotia.ca.
Surrette Battery Company, located in Springhill, Nova Scotia, has been making lead-acid batteries here since 1959. They produce Rolls-branded batteries for use in renewable energy, marine, motive power, and railroad applications worldwide. Surrette Battery Company was featured on Maritime Made once before, but we're revisiting to see some of their robotic innovations.
My grandfather actually started the business outside of Boston in 1935 and brought it to Nova Scotia in 1959 after the demise of the coal mining industry in Cumberland County. Still family-owned business between my brother and I. And we knew in the early 2000s that the business as it stood was going to be challenged to continue and to grow, because the focus and philosophy at the time was, manufacture in Canada, with the export markets primarily being the United States. We knew we needed to improve on our productivity and efficiency, and we knew we needed to expand the marketplace. So we invested as heavily as we could and as efficiently as we could to improve the productivity of the business. And we also looked to expand the markets within which we serve. So now we manufacture, as I mentioned, in Springhill, but we direct ship from the Port of Halifax to about 40 countries, a little over 40 countries a year.
All of their batteries begin in the casting department. 5 65-pound recycled lead alloy ingots are lifted into a lead melting pot. At 850 degrees Fahrenheit, they melt within minutes. The molten lead is then fed to 2 of their 5 casting machines. These then feed it into book molds. The cast grids are pressed to proper sizes. When a queue of these is full, they're set on a stand and a scraping blade removes excess. They also cast terminals here. Ingots are put in another melting pot where they're liquefied. This is poured into terminal molds using a ladle. They sit for 5 minutes and are either hammered out or newer pneumatic molds lift so the terminal can be removed. They clean, inspect, and add them to carts. Their oxide department melts down pure lead and mixes it with water and air in a Barton pot reactor to keep it cool and turn it into lead oxide. This lead oxide is moved through filters to a 100,000-pound silo. This is the main component in positive and negative lead oxide paste, which is made in their pasting department. Paste is pressed into the lead grids and they're compacted. The resulting plates are loaded into curing chambers. Hardened and dehydrated plates are quality checked and stacked as positives and negatives. These then go on to the enveloping stage. The groups are put into the auto wrapper. Positive plates are picked up and wrapped with fiberglass matting, followed by a blue plastic insulator. Wheels crimp the edges together. Negative plates are placed in between, and together they're stacked according to how many are needed to make a complete group to become one 2-volt cell of a battery for the monoblock assembly line of production. Groups travel down a conveyor to the auto COS department. A robot loads them in carriages. Once all 6 are filled, they're squeezed and flipped. At the back, lead is melted and formed into cast-on straps. These are welded on the top of the group, attaching positives and negatives to become a 2-volt cell. Another robot unloads 3 welded groups into awaiting 6-volt jars. These are inspected. The welder welds the 3 cells together through punch-outs. A short test is followed by a shear test. Lids are snapped, then hammered on, ensuring proper fits. A robot heat seals it on. Burning rings are placed on positive and negative posts before lead is used to cast them into the lid. An air pressure test is done to ensure it's sealed. An engraver adds the date code, battery part code, and employee ID of the person doing the work. The cells are filled with electrolyte, a mix of sulfuric acid and water. They're topped up manually, and thermostatic mixers are attached before they're sent to the water bath formation department. 76 batteries are attached by cables from positives to negatives. Thermocouples will measure the temperature of the water and the batteries. Once loaded, cold water is added and circulated as the batteries charge for 23 to 52 hours, depending on size. Plates for industrial production go through enveloping, but are moved to the industrial COS line, where they're stacked positive to negative to form groups. A robot picks up 2 groups at a time, which are cleaned and dipped in flux. They are then dipped in lead-filled molds in order to cast the straps and posts. These cool and harden. Black jars are queued, ready to be used. The robot releases the groups into them. The 2-volt cells are checked by the dropper, who adds an element protector. The lid is applied, hammered on, and sent for heat sealing. Burning rings are added, and the terminal's buttons are welded on. A seal test happens with air and soapy water. Approved cells are placed on a 24-cell skid. The employee adds their identification number and sends them on to the next department, called MFRT formation. Here, temporary lead connections are welded on. Hoses are inserted in each cell. The skid charges with the next skid of cells simultaneously. Thermal couples are added to regulate temperatures. One positive terminal will be hooked up to the large formation recirculation machines, followed by a negative terminal. These mix and add electrolyte to all the batteries while charging them. Charged cells move on to the industrial assembly department. The connectors are removed, followed by caps, to do a visual check. They lift each cell into a red dual container using a crane. Permanent connectors are put on to weld cells together. Positive and negative terminals are welded on each end. The lid is hammered on. Gaskets are press fit. Next, bayonet caps are placed on, and then the label is added. They add their operator ID and a code stamp. All batteries go to their inspection and shipping department, where load and air tests are done. Later, batteries are washed. Then terminal hardware and finishing shrouds are added, followed by labels. They're stacked and palletized before being stored or shipped. Surrette Battery Company supplies their Rolls brand to customers in over 40 countries around the world.